All right, on this episode of Bouts Talking Bouts, we got a big fight card going. It's BKFC 10, and that is going to be happening on Saturday, February 15th, live on pay-per-view. It's available through Multivision Media as well as through Fight TV. We've got Hector Lombard, Bellator and UFC veteran, taking on David Mundel. Got a hard-hitting main event bout and a fun card overall, and I'm going to be talking to promotional figurehead David Feldman today. How's your day going so far, David?
It's going great, man. Thanks for talking to me. This is an exciting card. Exciting to be in South Florida, and we're actually going down there tomorrow to enjoy some of the Superbowl festivities. We have a open workout tomorrow, so we're trying to get in the mix. It's gonna be really nice to be down there in South Florida to bring bare knuckle down there.
Yeah, that would be a great vibe just with all the fanfare surrounding the Super Bowl weekend. I imagine that'll bring a unique crowd to BKFC that maybe hasn't been made privy to it already.
No, absolutely. It's a great opportunity for us to expose ourselves to the masses that haven't been able to see this yet, and we're excited about it. We're excited. We have a lot of really interesting people that are really getting excited about this and want to get involved with the company. It's branded and influencers and things of that nature. So it's been really awesome the last couple of months of everybody that's expressed interest in this company. But we are so excited to be in the Fort Lauderdale area on February 15th for this BKFC 10. It's going to be really awesome event.
Yeah, it's going to be a great one for sure. And I mentioned that David Mundel in the main event, obviously stepping in for an injured Joe Riggs to fight Hector Lombard. When did David Mundel's name kind of get into the conversation to step up and take the place of Joe Diesel Riggs?
Well, Joe said he was injured and probably out, so he gave me about a week to start looking at some names. And I had some other names that I reached out there. It just didn't work out. Some more notable names, but those more notable names, I didn't think were going to get the kind of fight that Mundel did. And, after talking to the team internally, this is about putting on great fights. It's not really about just having names. It's about putting on great fights so the fans can really start enjoying and liking this sport. So we said David Mundel, 2-0, 2 knockouts in bare knuckle. Tough dude, right about the same height as Hector Lombard, the same build. So we thought it was a great matchup. So we just made that match. He accepted it within 5 seconds of asking him. He was like, yeah, this is a great opportunity for me. It's a no-lose situation for me. And, when no-lose situations come, that's a tough proposition for Hector Lombard.
Yeah, for sure, and you articulated a good point there because BKFC has certainly put on matchups that are oriented to like it just being an explosive, enjoyable kind of fight for the fans. Like, I mean, Johnny Bedford versus Charles Bennett from one of the last cards too. I mean, that comes to mind as like a similar kind of like matchmaking, like methodology-minded sort of thing.
Yeah, everything that we do really is just all about excitement. It's about fast-paced excitement. That's what separates us, I think, from any other combat sport out there. Now, you can have fast-paced excitement in some of the other combat sports, absolutely, but it's also designed where you can have lulls in action. You can't really have any lulls in action. 2-minute rounds, they toe the line, they start from 3 feet apart. It's really hard to get a boring fight with bare knuckle, and luckily, knock on wood, on the 9 events that we've had so far, I think really maybe we've had 2 or 3 boring fights out of 200 fights.
Oh, I mean, the success rate is definitely there for sure, but I mean, talking about that all-action sort of theme that seems to extend to the co-main as well between Jim Alers and Caleb Harris. Obviously, Jim Alers, one of the more impressive fighters in BKFC last year. He was kind of in that running for Fighter of the Year and whatnot, and Caleb Harris has rattled off some highlight reel knockouts for sure, like face-planted a couple guys. So what are your thoughts on this fight? When did the dialogue for this co-main event bout at 165 pounds start kind of coming together?
Well, we've been talking about starting the 155-pound tournament, and we wanted to start it on this card. And Jim was vying for a title shot immediately, and I just said, look, you definitely earned it. You're in the position to fight for the championship, but that's just not how we do things. And we have to stay true to the way we want to do things here. And the way we want to do things is all the champions are going to go through tournaments, and that's how we're going to build our champions. And he understood, and we negotiated. We paid him well. We paid him what he's worth because he did reel off 3 awesome knockouts, and he's explosive, and he's what this sport personifies really truly is. So because of that, we said, look, let's put him in with Caleb Harris. I called Caleb Harris out. He said, I love the fight. Let's do it. So that's going to be the first quarterfinal round of this 155-pound tournament. And, I mean, who knows what's going to happen, right? I mean, Caleb Caleb Harris lost a really close decision in his first bare-knuckle fight, and then he's 2-0, 2 first-round devastating knockouts. And Jim Alers is 3-0, 3 first-round devastating knockouts. So I think, again, explosiveness. I mean, I'm looking at the fight card here just to prepare for this interview, and I'm looking down, and I'm like, what fight here isn't explosive? It's crazy again. Like, it really, truly is crazy up and down the whole entire card.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much a stacked event. And you're talking about getting the 155-pound tournament going on. It seems like there's a couple important fights going on in that regard. Another one I'm noticing is between Elvin Britto and Luis Palomino, which I think that's another action fight as well. Like, when did the dialogue start moving towards booking these two together? Because that's a great fight on paper.
Well, we've been talking to Palomino for a while, and it just had to make sense financially for us. And because we are in his backyard, it made sense for us to pay him the kind of money he was asking for and to be there because he's a huge draw there. He's a legend in Miami. Street fighting, MMA, just any type of fighting that you want to talk about in Miami, Luis Palomino's name comes up. And, he actually, we talked about Elvin Britto. We talked about a couple other opponents, but I think Elvin Britto, I mean, he's a tough dude. Jim Alers did end up knocking him out, but he got caught with some good shots at the beginning, and he ended up knocking out Elvin Britto. But in his first fight, he face planted the guy that's fighting Jim Alers. So it's just like, it doesn't really matter in this sport. It doesn't really matter who you beat or what happened. Obviously, if you get knocked out 3 times in a row or something like that, you're done. It's probably not the sport for you, but you get knocked out, you get a chance to rebound. You came off a great knockout. There's just so many interesting things going on with this sport right now, and we're excited to be leading the way with it and having a fight like Luis Palomino and Elvin Britto. I think another one, fireworks all over that fight. And again, man, it's just crazy. If you want to go down the card, or you want me to go down the card, because the fight I'm really probably most excited about here, which I think is going to be fireworks all fight long, is Lorenzo Hunt, who came off a really nice knockout. He's fighting Gustavo Trujillo. He was also coming out of a first-round knockout. I mean, these guys, this is explosion written all over. I'm really looking forward to this fight. I think that could be fight of the night easily.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the bouts that have already been announced for BKFC 10 are quite enjoyable. Like, I'm also noticing Wynn is on the card as well. Well-regarded boxer back at it with Abdiel Velasquez in a 135-pound fight. So it seems like a varied card on a number of levels.
Yeah, no, it truly is. And then we have a very well-established professional boxer, great record, just made his MMA debut. He's 1-0. He's fighting Brian Maxwell. Brian Maxwell got knocked out on our last card, but had a war before he got knocked out. His name is Diaz. He's a legend in Miami. He does a lot of really good things with kids, and he's actually attached to Pitbull. Pitbull is one of his really good friends, and I'm trying to see if we can move that involvement a little bit more right now. So it's just a lot of excitement throughout this card. And Wynn, let's go back to that just for a second. I mean, he was like the sweetest science when he fought his last fight. It was unbelievable, just the little things he was doing. And Travis Thompson put up a hell of a fight, but that showed what it was to be a really skilled professional boxer, and probably, aside from Paulie Malignaggi, the most skilled professional boxer that we've had in BKFC ring so far. And he showed what he was made of. But Abby, he scored a good knockout, and then he ended up getting beat by Johnny Bedford, and then he came back and scored 2 great wins after that. So, I mean, again, that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter if you lost, you come back, and you put on a great show, and you're in line for something else that's coming down the road right now. So it's great to see.
Yeah, it seems like there's a value on the warrior spirit for sure. Like, it's not a function of like what your win-loss record is per se. It's just kind of like what you bring to the table and just sort of honoring that from what I can tell.
No, it absolutely is. We actually talked about it yesterday, and we said it's like, look, man, it's like professional wrestling. Like, it's not about if you win or lose. It's about are you putting on a great show. And obviously, professional wrestling is a lot different. It's scripted and everything like that, but it's a great show. It's a great show. And that doesn't matter if you win or lose. It matters if you put on a great show, then you come back and you put on another great show. And that's what we're really building this sport about. Action for the fans. And so far, the fans are loving it. I mean, if you're a fan and you do watch it, we don't have too many people that watch the event and then say, I'll never watch it again. We have people that heard of the event that say, I'll never watch that because they never gave themselves the opportunity to watch it in the first place. But we don't have anybody really that watches this and says, that was bad or brutal or this or that, and I won't watch it again. It's exciting, it's skilled, and I think that's what fighting's really all about. I mean, giving the fans what they want to see and what they're paying for.
Absolutely. You mentioned that certain segment of people in there who talk about not wanting to watch it, but they've never actually taken the time to check out the product. Are initiatives like this, like what you're doing with the Super Bowl week and everything like that, are you going to make more concerted efforts like this in the future to draw in that kind of audience?
Yeah, absolutely. We're working on a couple deals right now, television network deals that are going to let us bring this to the masses. And when that happens, I think the floodgates just really, really open up after that. Look, we're on pay-per-view, right? And it's the only one that would accept us from the beginning. And we had to prove ourselves, and we had to show them that we're going to be around, that we're going to sustain, and we're not a fly-by-night company, and we're not a fly-by-night sport, and we're not going away in one or two shows. And now we're here in our second full year right now with 11 shows planned. So we're showing that we are going to sustain. With that comes the networks, comes the sponsors, comes the people that are really starting to believe in this product now. So when we're able to show it to the fans for free, I think our fan base is going to, multiply by 10, 20, 30. It's just, it gives us a better avenue for these for these fans to be able to watch these fighters bang it out.
Yeah, certainly picking up steam and building certain narratives. And one of those that I thought was going to kind of come to fruition after the last card was a fight between Jim Alers and Jason Knight. I'm kind of wondering what's next for Jason Knight. Is it kind of a byproduct of maybe like he was injured from that tilt with Lobov and maybe he can't get out there right away? Like, I guess what's next for Jason Knight there?
We are a young company, so when we do fighters with the bigger names like Jason Knight, who just came off a sensational victory over Artem Lobov, it's about they have to be the right fights. They have to make sense financially for the company too, and something's going to come down the pipeline in the next couple of weeks that we're working on for Jason Knight that we think is going to be good for him. But Jim Alers, it was a discrepancy in weight. Jim Alers is now fighting at 155 and didn't want to go back down to 145. And, it makes sense. He's comfortable at this weight and doesn't want to cut the weight. And Jason Knight didn't want to fight him at 155. So that's why that fight never materialized. But there's a lot of fights out there that may happen. I mean, maybe Johnny Bedford gets a crack at Jason Knight and see what he can do with him. We're working on that. We have another couple pretty good signings that we're going to announce this week that make sense for Jason Knight or Johnny Bedford as well. So there's a lot of things coming down the road. It's just a matter of, look, we're new, and we're getting a lot of fighters that are starting to get a lot more interested in this, now. Some bigger names, some guys that have been around for a long time, some guys that are in the prime. I mean, look, on our next card, which we're not talking about now, but on our next card we have 2016 boxing Olympic bronze medalist on the card, Niga Hernandez. So we're showing that we're, what we did was working. We had to get some of the more experienced veterans in there that have been around for a while with a big name to come on so they could watch the sport. And now we're getting a lot more people interested in not only watching it, not only sponsoring it or maybe being a television platform, but for fighting in this as well. So the plan certainly is working. We just have to keep, pedal to the metal and just get it out as much as we can. And like I said, some of these deals we're working on with some different television platforms. I think that's just going to really, really open up a lot more eyeballs for us.
Yeah, for sure. And that's curious to hear that you still have more signees to announce in the coming days and weeks, because I was noticing that in the last few weeks, the signees of guys like Thiago Alves and like some more high profile signings like Josh Neer, I think it just further underscores that point you said of there's a lot of people who are looking to get involved in BKFC.
No, for sure there is. And it's flattering to us in one hand, and on the other hand, we know that we have to live up to all the expectations right now. I mean, people are, it's, like I said, it's crazy. It's crazy that we're in this for about 19, 20 months right now, and people mention us as a legitimate combat sport. We're not, it's not like, oh, did you see that? They're like, oh, are you fighting bare knuckle, or are you fighting MMA, or are you fighting boxing? We made this a legitimate sport now, and we have a lot of expectations to live up to now, and we plan on doing that in the next 2 years. Really, we have some really great things we're going to roll out. Really get the fans involved, give them a better way to watch our content. And I think it's going to be a really, really great 2020, and then 2021 is where I think we really, really start taking off.
Yeah, for sure. And I get like you can't necessarily talk about which platforms they are with some of these tentative TV deals, but I guess on a content level, what would the TV show look like? Like, would you be broadcasting like prelims to certain events? Would you be broadcasting like best of BKFC shows? Like, what would the ideal content arrangement be for that?
I think there's going to be two different ways we're going to do this. One of them is going to be on a streaming platform that has a very reasonable price tag on there, and we'll show some of the fights on there. We'll show some of the prelims on some of the free networks that we're doing, and we're also going to show probably 3 or 4 full events this year, just completely free on one of the networks that we're talking to now too. So that's working out really well for us as well. I think the key is really we need to get a little bit more free content out there, and it's hard at the beginning because you have to sustain financially, and that's a tough thing to do when you're not only launching a new promotion, but you're launching a new sport. So you're teaching the fans about this sport. You're teaching them about our fighters and about what it's about, and we're marketing the events at the same time. It's not an easy task for us, but we're getting it done. And I think, like I said, by the end of 2020, you'll be able to watch BKFC for free and very, very reasonable prices on some of these streaming platforms for sure.
No, it's exciting stuff, man, and that's good to hear. But also, having covered some of the bigger bouts already announced for BKFC 10, I always know there's some great local staples that kind of like underpin the event, and still imagine there's some bouts to kind of be announced and covered and whatnot. So to that point, what other bouts do you want to talk about on this BKFC 10 card? Because those prelim fighters usually bring the highlights for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Lorenzo Hunt and Gustavo Trujillo. We talked about Wynn. We have Yuli Diaz. He's fighting Brian Maxwell. That's going to be a great fight. Then we have a guy who always comes to fight, whether we wins or loses. He comes to fight all the time. Travis the Animal Thompson. He's fighting Joshua Bordeaux from Mississippi, who lost in his first bout, but I think it's a great fight that we put together. We have Baboon Palomino. He's fighting Melvin Britto, as you mentioned. We also have another local Miami guy, and I don't have his name now. We just locked him in last night. He's fighting another local Miami guy who's been around for a long time, Frank Carrillo. He hasn't fought in about 3 years, but he's one of the guys. He's the exact style we're looking for. He stands out there right in your face and he bangs. Then we have another Fort Lauderdale guy, Francisco Ricky. He's fighting Fred Pierce, who again always comes to fight. He comes to bang. He's 0-2 right now, but not from lack of effort, and that's why he's back again. And then rounding out the card is one of my favorites in our stable, fighting a guy that doesn't have a very impressive boxing or MMA record, but when he fought Johnny Bedford, he put up a hell of a fight, and really excited to see this fight. Reggie Barnett will be fighting Matt Murphy. I think that's going to be, when I made that fight and shared it with the team, they were like, man, that's fighter tonight. So, like I said, every fight from top to bottom is fighter tonight, really written all over it. So, again, another exciting card that we're putting out there. February 15th, the Greater Fort Lauderdale Convention Center. Tickets are on sale at bareknuckle.tv right now, and they are selling very, very fast. And it's available on Fight TV or any of your major cable or satellite providers in the United States and Canada. Super excited, man. It's going to be an awesome event and an awesome year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great event coming to Greater Fort Lauderdale Convention Center. So apropos in that sense, goes in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Hector Lombard taking on David Mundel. Big main event for what is overall a stacked card for BKFC 10. Really appreciate all the time and insights there, David. Always a pleasure talking to you. Best of luck with the rest of the preparations leading towards this event, and have a good rest of your day as well.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate you having me.